Bvas is a device introduced by Inec which allows for accreditation of voters through biometric capturing, uploading of polling results, and other functions. Stakeholders have described Bvas as an upgrade of the smart card reader which was used in the 2019 elections and a game changer in the country's electoral system and process. Let me start with you, Dr. Onduago. Talking about Bvas, I'm sure Inec has made it open, that's what they're going to use. Are we foreseeing any disadvantage? Talk about rigging of elections, which has been everywhere in Nigeria, and that is why a lot of people, when you talk about voting, if not for the electoral education that has been going on by various organs and organizations in the country, then what are we expecting with this Bvas?
Let me first of all commend Yakubu for coming up with this upgrade as described by a modal voter accreditation system, which allows the voter to be properly accredited to ensure that he is the right voter and he is the one to vote. First of all, let us see how it works. You get to the polling unit, you present your voter card that is being placed on what I have learned on the machine. Here, all the information about you, your name, your polling unit, your age, your address, including your phone number, are displayed. When these are displayed, you present your turn for capturing. If it recognizes it registers you as a qualified voter, then whatever you cast your vote for the candidate of your choice. What we're talking about is a disadvantage, actually. Yes, there is nothing in the world that has no disadvantage except worshiping God. This is a man of God, and I think he knows better. Beyond that, everything that has some advantages must have some accompanying disadvantages. Now, in the issue relating to Bvas, it has some disadvantage which scientists have discovered. One, in the event that it refuses to capture your fingerprint, the machine is placed just like you have this infrared thermometer placed on your forehead to be able to read your forehead as we are told. And age has a lot to do with the forehead from what some scientists have said. So the issue is that sometimes it can reject your fingerprinting. And certain issues can lead to your fingerprinting or fingerprint as a not to be recognized. Therefore, its inability sometimes to recognize the finger of the voter is one disadvantage. It happened in Washington State the last time the election was there. Some people were disenfranchised because the machine was unable to capture their thumb or their fingers. And that is a big disadvantage. So some people whose fingerprints are not captured automatically are disenfranchised and disqualified from voting, and that is a disadvantage. But I will tell you that it is an improvement in the electoral process. As we go on, we begin to talk about the benefits that we are doing from this.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Council, from what he said, and also by analysis of so many other persons, at times through this thumb printing, one may be disenfranchised. And then if this happens, just like the example he cited, that of the Osun State with some aged persons, and then what are we supposed to do? Is there any, will Inec proffer a solution to this?
Okay, let me also agree first with Doc that the use of Bvas is an improvement on the card reader that we used to know, and it takes us, or rather it is expected that it should take us some steps getting closer to more credible elections. However, in Nigeria, we have found a way to circumnavigate anything on earth. The Nigerian factor must find a way to go around it. And most of those problems are man-made. People introduce man-made problems so as to frustrate the system and then capitalize on it for their own nefarious gains. There is a major disadvantage, or let me say hardship, that we are going to experience. Power. Those machines require power. They run on power, whether stored or kinetic. By that I mean, like you plug it, it is running, or stored as in battery operated. When the batteries run down, you will need to get either replacement or charge them. We had similar instances with the erstwhile card readers, where the polling officer or presiding officer would tell you that the battery is down and that they have sent information to the supervisor to get either another card reader or a battery. And then the supervisor will say, okay, this card reader has been configured strictly for this particular unit. In the event of a problem, that unit has gone down. You cannot use another card reader for it. And by the time they will go around and go and get battery, they say this one is down, we need to charge it, or they are charging it in the office. These are all interventions, man-made interventions aimed at frustrating the system. But let us believe that in spite of these problems, we are going to make headway. They tried it in Osun. They had some issues with it. The machine is designed in such a way that it is not only your thumbprint that is now needed. Actually, you have about 5 or 10 fingers to be used, both the right side, the left side. And so one of them ought to be able to capture. Then the facial recognition, that is where the problem lies. Because as people age, their facial features begin to get altered as a result of both age, illness, or even the stress that this government has subjected us to. Everybody is now frowning. Even from the moderator to myself and to my colleague, everybody is frowning. The cameramen in the studio, they are frowning. Nobody is happy. You wake up in the morning, ordinarily, you are frowning. On that day, you get to the polling unit. Maybe on the day you went to register and you were captured, you had stayed so long in the line, spent 3 days before it got to your turn. Naturally, you were now frowning and they captured it. But on the day of election, you wake up from your house, you get there, you are relaxed, just few people in your unit, your face is relaxed, and you are in a happy mood, you're smiling, and the machine will refuse to recognize you. Or maybe the reverse was the case. The day you went to register, you were the first. The register, you were so happy and excited, oh, the system is working. But on the day of voting, you got there last, and by then, your face is rumpled, and you're frowning, and the machine will say, ah, this is not the owner of this. Okay, something like this. That we are, you can see the facial feature of the gentleman there. It doesn't look too happy. You don't know whether he had eaten before coming to do the registration or whatever. That is exactly the type of thing we might be faced with. But there are features that cannot fail. I expect that our technology should begin to capitalize on these things. For example, the thumbprint, the fingerprints, they are unique. Science has established that. There's another one that is unique to each person, the iris in the eye. They have gone further today because they know that you could be coming that day, you are trying to bring down your pot of soup from the fire and it scales your fingers. You get there, the machine will refuse to recognize it because it will take time to heal and return to its original print. But the iris, unaltered, it remains. So we should always also, as a nation, yes, we are making progress. We are not yet there. It's work in progress. But let's now begin to also look at what other people are doing elsewhere, take it to the next level, other forms of recognition, apart from facial, which could be detrimental to Nigerians because of the suffering we are going through.
All right.
I wish to draw the attention of this learned gentleman to the issue that Inec must have foreseen what this man is doing.
The rumpled faces.
The rumpled faces. So that was why Inec had to come up with the idea of having two photographs. One when you are frowning, one when you are smiling. I saw it happen to me so that if they don't get you when you are frowning, they'll get you where you are smiling. So there's no way you escape that particular one.
All right. I want us to look into the advantages first. Let's concentrate on the advantages for now, because there's something brought about this. And I'm sure they've thought about it severally, did some researches before coming up with this Bvas. And I'm sure the advantages should be more compared to the disadvantages. So, Doc.
There are several advantages. One that used to the introduction. It's an innovative idea, I know it's very good. We are all aware of what was happening in the past, the use of what the world is from. I monitored elections in 2 years, and I monitored in 2019. People were praying, let this country that fell so that we could have an avenue of using the pieces of paper to bring on an application with which thousands of votes were returned. We are aware that some local governments say in our state government as much or as high as 8,000 votes. We are aware of some local governments that return 25,000 votes, and sometimes we begin to wonder where this actual voters, this actually happened. And that raised a lot of issues. So the failure of the card reader must have led to the introduction of the device. For instance, during the 2015 elections, some people who went to court, the lawyer here again is going to put application to say, went to court in the hope that, we are going to base our argument on the number of voters captured by the card reader. I know of a particular candidate here in Abia State whose lawyers are jumping up and down. When we get to the court, we are going to show that the number of votes counted is more than what the card reader recorded. And of course, when they got to court, it was proved that you can actually use this date form as an alternative, which created the opportunity. So this issue of Bvas will reduce the level of malpractice we used to know. I didn't say there will be no malpractices. After all, we have heard what is happening in Imo, where there was a revelation that some people were trying to play some fast games with registration. So now, talking about it, it will reduce malpractice too. It has rekindled people's interest in the system. For instance, we could see what happened in Osun State, where so many people came all out, and where we also saw that people's votes counted. It wasn't business as usual in Osun State. So one of the advantages is that it has rekindled people's interest. It is going to reduce malpractices to the barest minimum. I will allow the learned man to talk about the legal aspect of it.
All right, thank you. Council, talking about these Bvas, I want us to press more on the advantages.
Well, like Doc said, it is expected. Remember, this is the first time we are going to use it nationwide. A localized, isolated election is an entirely different scenario from general election, where elections are being held in every state simultaneously, at the same time, on the same day, and so on. For isolated election, you could bring in all the logistics to bear in that one place, and it will sail through. When you are dealing with everywhere at the same time, that is where you now begin to have issues. He has said it is expected that it would reduce to the barest minimum malpractice, which we most times refer to as rigging. Yes, that is what is expected. But remember that when I started, I gave an example of how we could circumvent some of those steps or procedures. But the good thing now is, like as he pointed out, Inec said no more use of incident forms. I'm a little skeptical, despite the assurances given by Inec. This is not the first time such a statement is being credited to Inec, that there will not be. In the last election, that was also the same statement credited to them. But our brethren from certain parts of the country who behave as if they are more militant than others over virtually everything, whenever it is not going their way, they have a way of unleashing violence, so that in a bit, okay, let us have peace. In a bid for us to have peace, then you allow them to have their way. That is wrong. Very, very wrong. Sadly, I foresee something like that equally playing out. To what extent is what I cannot predict at the moment. But I know that if it is not going their usual way, they would raise hue and cry about it. That is on the one side. Then it is going to make for faster transmission, collation of results, thereby also eliminating, if possible, rigging. When results are collated in real time, that means as the thing is going, you are getting an idea. Then it becomes difficult to wait until one state in Nigeria will wait. Every other result will come in, and then they will tell us that they have recorded results to kill the number of votes gotten from Southeast. Just one state or one town even. Put all the states in the Southeast together, that the vote from that state would cripple it. So let's equally hope. All these things we are hoping. Yes, it's been put to the test in Osun State. And from what we saw in Osun, we believe it will be so, bearing that problem that I have highlighted. We are going to be further experimenting generally, not isolated election.
All right, the Bvas accreditation will be through thumb printing and facial expression, like you talked about.
Facial recognition.
Yes, like you talked about the facial recognition. It means that once voter's thumb is placed on the machine, the person's information on the Inec portal will pop up. If the thumbprint doesn't work, the Bvas machine will be placed across the person's face to capture his image. Once it's captured by the machine, the person's information will pop up also. But if at the end of the day, just like you mentioned earlier, if the position of the face, the facial expression, was not the position, is meeting it at the day of voting, automatically the person will be disenfranchised. And in situations like this, what do we do? I actually don't.
This is a difficult question for me to answer. There are two alternatives here. One, capturing your fingerprints.
And if it fails?
If it fails, the facial recognition. I do not think there is any other provision Inec has made. I'm not too sure whether there is any one. So what it means that automatically the person should go home. That exercise is no longer going to be for the person. It's very, very bad. If I get there, suffer, because that day there will be no movement, vehicular movement will be restricted. maybe I cover a distance of 4 kilometers, get there only to be told that I can no longer cast my vote, for no fault of mine. It may not be my fault that the machine has not captured me. It may not be my fault about the facial expression. Like Council said that the day I went for capturing, I may have been the first person. I was so happy and excited. Today, I've covered a distance of 4 kilometers on foot. Not expect my face to be so bright, to be smiling. And if I'm not captured, I will not vote. So it's going to be a very, very bad situation for people. I do not think there's anything that could be done about it unless Inec comes up tomorrow with the third alternative. For now, only 2 alternatives are available.
All right, Council, don't you think Inec should be providing solution, assuming the obvious happens?
I would disagree with that suggestion for now.
Okay.
It is too late in the day to begin to experiment with an alternative. Nigerians being who we are, if you try to give that window, people would cash in on it and manipulate the system. It is not very likely that your 10 fingers will fail. It's very unlikely. 10 of them failing at the same time. What I rather think is that even if 9 fail, chances are that 1 would sail through. That you might not even need to go through the facial recognition procedure. Let the fingers work. The only thing is that what we experience during the use of card readers is that on the day of accreditation and voting, somehow the card reader would refuse to recognize the fingerprint of people. Sometimes they will tell you, okay, go and step aside, let's capture another person, verify another person. They will do, you come back, the same thing is happening. Many of us even had that experience. Even President John, yes, of all people, I mean, he equally experienced it. So, despite all these, like I said, let's not experiment at this 11th hour. After this general election, we can again, just like Inec did, to scout for technology that could solve the problem. We could go further to equally scout for machines that would be able to have up to 3 different procedures that you could use to identify people. For now, the best in the world remain the fingerprint and the iris. Even the facial recognition is not the very best. It could alter. Even makeup, you could use makeup to alter it. But the iris and the fingerprint, they remain unique and they are the best. So like I said, out of your 10 fingers, at least 1 ought to be able to identify you. And that's all they need, just 1.
All right, Doc, before we go on break, don't you think even without Inec, okay, the Commissioner for Information, even without letting the public know, is it not important there should be an alternative? Because just like Council mentioned the other time, remember, if, for instance, you are the one contesting for a particular position and the thing is in your place, and you discover that about 10 or 20 or even more are not registered, are not captured as a result of these Bvas, don't you think there will be chaos in such areas? So that don't you think Inec should provide a solution in case of anything, in case of if anything happens?
The election we are talking about is about 5 months.
Yeah.
And that is too short a time to begin to explore other alternatives. Council made it very clear that being who we are just looking for any slight opportunity. Any little window, we cash in on that and then we frustrate the system to our advantage. So it is late already, and I do not think, just as he said, out of your 10 fingers, I wonder why 1 will not work. Then if that goes, I wonder why your facial recognition will not go. So I do not think that it is appropriate at this point for anybody to begin to mute the idea of exploring other alternatives because it is too late in the day. Inec has gone past this stage. They are not preparing for the election. So Whosoever that unfortunately is affected should bear it and wait for, is it 2027 or what?
Yes. God willing.
God willing, for another
4 years.
Yes.
All right, our wonderful viewers, we're going to go on a break. If we come back, issues of the moment will continue. I am happy you're still there. Keep watching Living TV. We'll be back soon. Beautiful viewers, we're back. I'm happy you're still there watching Living TV. We are still on issues of the moment. We are discussing Inec 2023 general election with the introduction of the new machine, the Bvas. You can call us now as we go on with this discussion on 091-682-84994. I take it again, 091-682-84994. You can call, make your contributions, or ask questions. All right. The advantage of the Bvas is that it reduces rigging and electoral malpractices considerably. Now, a voter must be verified that he is the owner of the card before he will be accredited to vote. It is now one man, one vote. And what is this? Council, one man, one vote. You know, this has been the fear of a lot of people who have refused. But thank God that the masses, including the youth especially, are turning up. What do you think is the meaning of this one man, one vote?
It is self-explanatory. One man, one vote is self-explanatory. It simply means that if 100 people are accredited in a particular polling unit and 5 candidates are standing in election, at the end of the day, the 100 votes should be split amongst the 5 in such a way that one person can get the entire 100, and in such a situation, the others are expected to get 0, 0, 0, all of them. A situation where 100 people are accredited, and then you have 101 votes being recorded, it means there is rigging. Rigging is actually overvoting when the votes that have been cast exceed either the number of registered voters or the number of accredited voters. The courts have defined it to mean rigging. That is when it is in place. So one man, one vote is that as you cast it, you leave. Another person will cast his own and leave. At the end of the day, if 23 people have voted in the unit, expect a total of 23 votes that can now go any way, any which way. That is what is meant.
All right, Doc, As talking about one man, one vote, you know, before that, in the other past elections, you remember a particular person, I know one that happened around my area in Osioma. You saw a man having a bag full of PVCs. And as they give out, people will be going to vote. As it stands now, is that exactly what Inec is talking about by the reduction of rigging and election malpractices?
I have witnessed a very, very funny situation where in a particular primary school, elections were going the other way. Some able-bodied young men were at the back of one of the halls, surrounding some people, very few people who were thumbprinting with booklets, thumbprinting for a particular party. After which, they were brought and
loading, you call it loading.
Loading.
They are now loading into the box.
Into the box and counted. Of course, the beneficiary was the winner of the election. That is a case that we are not likely going to see with this Bvas. So it means that if 100 people were accredited, there should be 100 ballot papers in the box. If it goes beyond, even by one, something has happened. Just as we're experiencing in Adamawa State today. APC, where the APC governorship candidate of Adamawa State was disqualified by the court because it was discovered there was overvoting. The number of delegates, the number of votes cast exceeded the number of delegates. So in that case, it is not a case of one man, one vote. So what it means is that the number of people accredited, not even number of voters, number of people who turned up and got and passed their accreditation should be the number of votes we are going to see. And that is one of the advantages of these Bvas we are discussing today. So I believe that the issue of one man, one vote will work using Bvas now.
All right, Council, the Bvas machine has been used in different by and state elections. For instance, the Delta State, Anambra State gubernatorial election of 2021, the FCT Council election in February, and the recently concluded Ekiti State gubernatorial election. Amongst all these states where this Bvas was used, sorry, let's take this call. Hello? Hello? This is Living TV. Hello? This is Living TV. You're welcome. Your name, where you're calling from, your contribution or question. Tell us your name and then where you're calling from, and then you make your contribution or you ask your question. Okay, we lost him. All right, so Council, considering the fact that this Bvas has been used in some states, both in by-elections, even the council election at the FCT and so on, have you heard of any of the disadvantages or misappropriation of this Bvas machine?
Like I said, do not forget that the elections were localized.
Those ones?
All these elections were localized. They were isolated elections.
Sorry. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, this is Living TV, Issues of the Moment. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and your question or contribution.
Wrong number.
All right,
so it's easy to get, let's say if it's happening in Abia, you can get all the states surrounding Abia to bring their security to Abia State, such that you now have maybe in one particular polling center, you have about 30 police officers and maybe 10 immigration officers, 20 civil defense and so on. In such a situation, nothing, you can't manipulate much, if at all. But when you are now dealing with general elections, everybody is in his place. The security line will be stretched so thin. The Inec officials equally stretched so thin. Logistics in terms of vehicles, machines and so on will be stretched thin. If you have a machine that is malfunctioning too, get a replacement would be very difficult, if not impossible, during the general election. So these are the things that we have to watch out for. And with them in place, you cannot guarantee 100% foolproof election. In those other ones you mentioned, yes, it's possible that everything seems to be in place. But when you're dealing with large scale, holistic, it becomes a different ball game altogether. All the same, I share so much the sentiment of Doc that we are very hopeful. We are very, very hopeful. Let us have faith in the system. Let us try it out. The mad dog is entitled to his first bite. You cannot classify him as a mad dog when he hasn't beaten anybody. So let the mad dog first be entitled to his bite. You can now call him a mad dog. I worry about one thing though. Inec has indicated that the voters' cards produced from the recently concluded registration exercise, that they are ready and people should go and collect. We witnessed on the internet and social media people throwing cards away on the road, and they were retrieved and taken back to Inec. Now that the cards are ready, dumped in the respective Inec offices, that same zeal with which people registered, we are not seeing it. It's not being reflected in terms of collection. When it is 2 days to the voting, actual voting now, and maybe Inec now says, okay, we have closed shop regarding dispensing the cards. We are now concentrating on preparation for election. That is what, even 2 weeks is too narrow, too small. 1 month now, you now see all these our youth. That is when they will now flood everywhere and start gingering and saying, no, you must give us our card and so on and so forth. Right now, the Inec offices are empty. Nobody is going there. The people are just almost redundant. I mean the Inec officials, waiting for people to come and collect the cards. Nobody is going. 1 month to the close of the time now, everybody would be there. So I'm calling for extension. I'm calling for extension. That is the problem. We keep on seeing it over everything in this nation. Go and register for name, it will be the same thing. Go register to vote, it will be the same thing. Just 1-2 weeks to deadline. That's it. Everybody they will not leave the shops now and go. Now that they are at home and have registered, I mean our students, they wouldn't go to collect the cards. Is it when they will be in school that they will go to collect the cards? Because by the time the elections may be coming, traditionally, schools usually go on holiday. And by then, and that's usually like maybe 2-3 days to the election, by then I'm sure INEC would have stopped giving out the cards. They will now come home and start crying that they didn't get their cards. We should have an extension. That's not right.
All right, our wonderful viewers, I am sure you heard what the council said. If you are one of them that have registered, INEC has announced, though it's not yet time, they said November. They said the cards will be ready by November.
Many of them, they are already telling us, they're even showing it on the internet and saying that the cards are ready, come and collect.
Go to your nearest INEC office.
I think it's better you get there and check, and they'll tell you that your own is not. Remember that they were, the registration didn't take place at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
So as they were registering, they were producing until even when they had an extension. So maybe the ones that may come in November may be the ones that fell within the extension time.
Let's see who's calling us. Hello.
I think it's better you get here and check.
Hello.
Hello?
Issues of the moment, Living TV. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and then your contribution or question. The place is so noisy. So, all right, Doc, so you can go to any nearest INEC office to you, find out if your own is there. For now, if you don't vote and you register, remember, you'll be the problem Nigeria will be having in 2023. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Issue of the moment I want to tell you people.
Okay, go ahead. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello?
Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Huh?
Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, my name is Chairman Izigwe.
Okay.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Go ahead, Uzigwe, we are listening. All right, having said that, Doc, you're a Nigerian, and I'm also sure you witnessed or heard about these elections, both the one in FCT, the one of Anambra, and that of Ekiti, and that is where they practiced these Bvas usage, of new machine, of Inec new machine. So, do you have any counter opinion from what the council said?
It is as clear as it should be what the council said, because these are isolated cases. These are held by FCT. I think that should be about six area councils. You don't compare it to 774 local government areas. In Ekiti State, Ekiti has less than 20 local government areas. You don't compare that to 774. And then 360 federal constituencies, and I think we have close to 10,000 polling units in Nigeria. So you don't compare. So we cannot use the efficacy or the effectiveness of Bvas in these areas and then use it as a yardstick to judge what is going to happen nationwide. Until it is done nationwide in 2023, that is when we can begin to praise it that it will work. For now, we anticipate, we hope, we believe that it is going to yield the desired results, being one, reduction of malpractices, and then increasing people's confidence in the system, because it is the little success recorded in Osun State that prompted a lot of people to give confidence in the system. So these are some great cases, and let us wait until this conducted nation.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, this is Living TV, Issues of the Moment. Let's know your name, where you're calling us from, then your question or contribution.
Okay, my name is Izigwe.
Okay.
Yes, I acknowledge the gentleman on the studio. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
You can go ahead, because what I want to say is that the Nigerians are expired, and that's why people are not interested in whatever, because end of the day, what we are expecting now is bloody revolution that can usher in people. Thank you.
All right.
I disagree with him that people are not interested.
And that he is expecting a bloody revolution. He is alone in that view. I don't expect such at all. From the way things are going, we are going to have, bearing all odds, we are going to have fairly normal elections.
No election is perfect.
Not even in US, not even in Britain. The people that gave us the democracy can never be perfect.
And the person that is expecting bloody revolution does not know that crisis is just like an ill wind.
You don't know who will go down.
You don't know who will go down. So
how can you come on air and tell us yes?
Let us not pray for that.
Okay, shortly before we go, we are going to briefly look at the problems with the Bvas machine and also solutions. It's going to be very, very brief. Well, as a result of research on the functionality of the Bvas machine, through the reports received from places it has been used so far in elections, it is just a common problem that was discovered. The Bvas machine couldn't successfully accredit many voters through their facial expressions. This many voters, even with their PVCs, were disenfranchised in those elections. And the issue that affects them, particularly the aged people and those whose PVCs were given 2010, 2011, 2014, 2015. The Bvas couldn't successfully connect with the present images, with the ones uploaded years back during the registration processes. Now, Council, let me come to you with this. And you know that talking about Inec registration, it's not every other person that re-registered.
I didn't re-register.
Good.
Because they said you shouldn't. Yeah. I registered 2011.
Oh, good.
So I would also expect to try it out that day.
Okay, yes, because they have mentioned the number of years and you happen to fall into.
Yes, we are going. That's why I say it is work in progress. There are certainly, we are being exposed to a new system. There would naturally be flaws, and we are going to check out those flaws. Another serious problem that I anticipate is time factor. During the registration, it took so long to capture the biometric details of people. In a day, a particular machine might do like not more than usually 100. So if that is anything to go by in the election, that means in a polling unit where you have 500 people, you capture maybe only 100 people. It's going to be a problem. Sometimes they'll tell you network is down or power is down. These are problems.
All right. Hello. Hello.
Good morning, Living.
Yeah, good day. Living TV, issues of the moment.
Yes, please, I'm Mr. John.
Okay.
I'm Mr. John from Taraba.
Okay, go ahead.
Please, I want you to address the state of the people, the state of the electorate, the other side. Because as this thing is going on, after we have separated our PVC, are they going to assure us the guarantee? You know, give us the guarantee that we is not, the structure, the guarantee people we are talking about, because the other time, the northerners seem to be they are born to rule everywhere. I can see some statements on the statements. They don't want to address the issue, but what I'm trying to say is that the safety of the electorate is what we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. John from Taraba. Thank you. You are watching Living TV. Everyone in Taraba there. Thank you. You had it, Doc. You had it.
The assurances.
The assurances.
Yes, I had also alluded to it sometime when I said people from a particular part of the country. And then in so saying, in making his own contribution, he mentioned the north.
Yes.
And coincidentally, that is his area. Taraba is part of the area that when they don't get it going their way too easily, sometimes they start protesting.
I think that's why he's talking about this assurance.
Yes. It is only the government that can give the assurance. My brother here, you and I, in the studio, we lack what it takes to give the assurance. Ours is hope. We're only praying for hope. Yes. And saying we hope, we believe, we expect. That's
so, Mr. Moderator, there is one vital area that I am worried about. That is the issue of transmission of results.
Okay.
And that is also, I believe that is also part of the work of the Bvas in doing that. And Council mentioned the issue of network. And I'm sure network is needed to be able to transmit results from one polling unit to Inec headquarters or server, wherever it is. And I'm also aware that there are some very remote areas of the country where there could be total absence of network or network is very, very poor. I also believe that it's one of the factors Inec should look into. I don't know how it's going to work, but it is one vital area that may affect the workability of this particular Bvas. Maybe another time we're going to explore that particular area.
All right, our wonderful viewers, this is where we are going to draw the curtain for now for Obvious Present. We are going to come back again, but remember tomorrow is Nigeria Today. Keep watching Living TV. I remain your command, Chinedum Adiele. And from my far left is Dr. Stanley Dago. Dr. Stanley Dago, thank you for being part of the program.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. And to you, our viewers, thank you for being with us.
And Barrister Chukwemeka Nwog. Barrister Chukwemeka Nwog, thank you for being part of the program.
Thank you, Moderator. And please go and check, those of you that register, go and check for your voters' cards. If they are ready, you collect them. Don't dump them in Inec office.
Thank you. We'll be talking about the issue of revalidation. Yes, thank you. And this is Living TV Issues of the Moment. We're about...
Please, I'm from Jos.
Okay, go ahead. From Jos, go ahead.
Yes, please, some of our...
Your name.
From the north.
Your name.
We the Christians, what assurance has given us that people think his home not to vote for him Europe. We don't see our safety here in the north. We are the indigenous from just here. But there are a lot of intimidation. Are we going to come around table to assess this issue once and for all? That every person, in fact, there are a lot of intimidation. The statement from those that we believe that are statements that are inspired, they are not, they are inciting, they are saying the fact. There will be a problem. I don't think Nigeria will go and fix before 2023 because the practice is too bad. You look at the other man from the other APC, he was telling people, and I don't know what is the problem. I'm from Jos, the inflation is too much here in the Jos. Let us address the issue once and for all because we are not safe anymore.
All right, what's your name, please? What's your name? What's your name, please? Okay, this one is coming from Jos. He's watching Living TV from Jos, and you heard him. He's talking about the statement credited to Atiku about he can do without the votes of the Igbos and that of the Yorubas, that is okay with the vote of the Northerners.
Any, even if it is the election in your own kitchen, talk less of something even as big as councillorship, and you begin to make such statements. The other day you had asked me and I said you cannot wish away any person, any factor in an election. It's only time that will tell. Let's not go into that.
Could it be that there is something Atiku knows that the rest of us don't, that is giving him such a level of confidence?
We don't, let us not preempt them.
I'm sure that was an earlier statement, not recently. When
it is recent.
Recent.
Very recent.
A few days
in fact, it's going to form part of our discussion tomorrow.
Okay, I'll research it.
Find out. It's going to form part of our brother from the Jos. Tomorrow, listen to Living TV on issue. Nigeria Today. We'll be discussing part of this thing you just asked today. Our wonderful viewers, we will call back. Keep watching Living TV. Tomorrow is Nigeria Today, and I'm sure you'll be there. Thank you for being there. Okay. Alpha.
Promise, no para vuelta. Okay. Nah. Can you hear me? Okay. Alpha. I'm going outside in case. Follow. I'm at the step now. Okay. Can you hear me from this place?